First, we will hear an opening statement from Ms. Lauder, and again, 2 minutes.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Irma Lauder, and I'm running for Selectmen. I'm running for Selectmen because there are major financial issues facing Hingham, and I feel I am the best qualified candidate for the job to resolve and tackle the issues. Over the past 10 years, property taxes have increased 40%, 100% if you're in Crow Point. Hingham's budget has increased by 65%. The conditions that permitted this rapid rate of growth no longer exist. Revenues from new growth and development are down. State aid continues to decline. What are the consequences? Each year, the town is faced with a structural deficit. We've depleted our town reserves. We're facing $60 million in unfunded health care benefits for retirees. We've been living beyond our means. At the same time, retired taxpayers have seen no Social Security increase and no increase in their retirement income. High taxes are choking us. What do I plan to do? Stop excessive spending by working with the departments and insist that all departmental budgets are submitted on a level funded budget, and actively recruit new business to move to Hingham. My qualifications, over 25 years in the private sector. I've managed departments with over 700 people in it. I know what it means to live within a budget. I have been on the advisory committee and the capital outlay committee. I love Hingham. I respect every department head that I will work with. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Burns?
This very difficult budget year was an excellent test of leadership skills, and I'm happy to report on the success we've had during my year as chair of the Board of Selectmen. Despite plunging state aid and dropping local revenues, we've achieved some major new budget goals, which put the town's finances on much firmer footing going forward. 2 examples. My colleagues and I generated hundreds of thousands in yearly savings by reorganizing departments and regionalizing services. Also, we cut Hingham's retiree health care liability by more than half through collective bargaining, and we built full funding for this liability into the budget going forward. If we continue fully funding, we'll save the town more than $50 million. These accomplishments required a board which is proactive, focused, and working hard to achieve savings, and I'm proud that I serve on that board. We examined every department individually and cut where we could to achieve a balanced budget, and in the end, we have a budget agreed upon by the Selectmen, the Advisory Committee, and the School Committee, which didn't seem very likely at the outset. To get to that result, a great deal of skillful leadership is needed. As chair of the Board of Selectmen, I provided that leadership from beginning to end, along with the chairs of the other committees. Being a successful selectman requires 2 elements. The first is a spirit of openness and cooperation that's extremely hard to maintain in a difficult year when everyone has something to lose. But working hard to maintain it is an absolute requirement of town leadership, and I have delivered on that requirement. Second is personal engagement with citizens. The budget outreach effort I led this year on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, including moderating 2 economic summits, resulted in more citizen input than on any other budget in recent memory. Over the course of my term, I've answered hundreds of citizen inquiries personally because I think that's what a selectman is for. I ask that you return me to Town Hall to continue my work. Thank you.
Mr. Manning?
Well, everyone needs to use it. If one person does, everyone needs to, please. Thank you.
At the first economic summit held by the Selectmen, I proposed to raise revenue by selling the town-owned golf course, where I used to caddy as a kid, valued at $18 million. The money from the sale would be deposited in the town's depleted reserve fund, allowing the 10% property tax increase to be rescinded. I also proposed installing traffic lights at the most dangerous unregulated intersection according to Hingham Police Department reports, the junction of Main, Cushing, and South Pleasant Street. I received no reaction from the board, so I obtained the necessary signatures. Both petitions will be recognized as warrant articles at the town meeting. I also offered to investigate pro bono the fiscal and operational practices of the Department of Education and School Committee, citing my experience as an Assistant Attorney General. I successfully investigated and prosecuted 20 individuals and 5 corporations associated with the Mass Department of Education, with 236 indictments charging larceny, bribery, and conflict of interest. The defendants include the Associate Commissioner of Education, a state senator, the chief of the Bureau of Special Needs, 3 Mormon bishops, and 14 of the guilty had doctoral degrees. I also investigated the Mass Division of Special Education, SBED, where I uncovered a conspiracy among the companies providing transportation services for the handicapped to illegally allocate territory and charge excessive amounts. I hand-delivered my proposal and a copy of my resume to the chairman and never received a reply. I then decided to become a candidate for selectman. Incidentally, Chairman Burns was required to recuse herself from matters before the selectmen involving the school budget because of conflict of interest situation. In the journal, she admitted, "I have some skin in the game," implying she had a child in the schools. In addition, her close affinity with the arrangements with the superintendent, as well as her unrelenting attempts to suggest new taxes, fully fund the school budget, creates the appearance of a conflict of interest condemned by the SJC.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to go to the first question. Warrant Article 42 allows for the creation of an overlay district at Margot's Field. Sorry. I don't know where that is. Margot's Field.
She doesn't live in town.
With that in mind, what is your position on the Ward Street turf project as currently proposed with 2 turf fields and state-of-the-art lighting, pending a traffic report and a wildlife impact report? Ms. Burns, you may go first.
Thank you. Well, as most people know, the selectmen control one of the parcels that is to be part of this, and the selectmen have given the go-ahead to the proponents to pursue permitting. I know there may be conservation issues, and I leave that to the Conservation Commission because they're the experts. I don't know whether they will find the field suitable on our part of it. But this is one of those situations where we have a wonderful opportunity, but at the same time it does have a cost. And I've received a great deal of correspondence on both sides of the issue, and I have answered all of it. And I've listened to all of the arguments, and when I ran for the Board of Selectmen, a former selectman said, you know, sometimes you have to just weigh them up and make your best guess. And in my opinion, it is an appropriate use for that piece of land if it can be done without infringing on conservation issues. And I think that it would be best used if we had lights to make the best use of that field. But I am also very content to let town meeting make that decision, and town meeting will.
Thank you. Mr. Manning, you have 2 minutes. Sorry, 1 minute.
I think it's a bad idea. When I attended West School on Baxter Street, which no longer exists, the school, not the street, we had no kindergarten, we had no lunchroom, we had no gymnasium, and we had a gravel field out back, and that was the extent of the physical facilities. When I went to Hingham School, which is now the senior citizens apartments, we had a postage stamp size field, and yet we all managed to survive. Now the idea of introducing AstroTurf into a very sensitive area is not a good idea. Another reason is the street that passes by the field, Ward Street, is narrow. There's no parking allowed on the street, and since they installed traffic lights on High Street, the traffic doesn't go down Cushing as much as it used to do.
Thank
It
you.
goes down Ward Street.